Alright, so the new season of the Underground Labyrinth is here, season number 4. It's actually the 5th Underground Labyrinth, but one of them was the Shield Hero collab specific Underground Labyrinth, which wasn't really a seasonal Underground Labyrinth. Well, in this season they did change a couple of things, like the shop here is a little bit different. Of course, it has 3 different tiers, and you need to buy out at least 400 for the first tier to unlock the second tier, the common shop. Then you need to buy each of these in order to go down and be able to buy like the 10 gems and the cosmetics, as well as the card if you don't already have it. Now this shouldn't actually take that long to farm out. It took me maybe like 3 or 4 runs in order to be able to buy everything all the way up to here. I don't really need the card, I might go for it. And then in this this box here has some like random goodies that you can buy if you like wanna completely farm it out. But for the Underground Labyrinth itself, like when you actually start it, you won't see this right here. And do check the timestamps in the description, because I'll go over it. I'll like go over like what you need to do for your very first run, what you need to do for your second run, and then how you can clear like the deeper parts. So it's all down there in the description, and while you're down there, do consider subscribing and like the video if you found it helpful. So basically this screen, you won't actually see it when you start the first time. I'm just gonna do this. This is what you actually see once you've actually beaten it and you've been able to like save a team, as well as like have all the passives that you've accumulated throughout that run. So I'm just gonna start a second run here, and I'm gonna go over exactly what you need to do for your very first run. And I'm just gonna do this just to make it a little bit easier for myself. So the first run, you will be able to pick between 3 units. You will be able to pick Gowther, Gowther, and of course the Gowther here, which is the PvP Gowther unit from top 100, which is kind of nice because most people don't have this unit. It's kind of nice to actually see him and be able to test him out. So it has a detonate AoE card, and he has a stun single target card, which of course he still has the ultimate, and he has sort of a selfish passive. It's whatever. So you pick a unit here. I'm just gonna pick Liz. You can of course pick any unit that you want, but I would maybe even suggest actually picking Gowther, because yeah, he is a red unit and the boss at the end of the first floor is green. He could sort of be a sacrificial unit so that Liz doesn't target any of your good units, and then on turn 2 you can use all your good units while having that Gowther be dead. Otherwise, like if you want another easy time, just go for the Gowther. He is really good. He does have a single target stun card, of course, so you can like stun any unit that's sort of gonna attack with 2 cards or whatever. That could be potentially really nice. And he does have an AoE card, so those are of course really good to clear the run. Gowther is sort of a safe option. Like if you can get his ult off when he is sort of solo, he's not gonna take any damage, and he can actually dish out quite a lot of damage as soon as he like builds up the amount of defense and stuff like that he has. So any of those units could potentially be really good, but yeah, pick whoever you want. I would suggest actually going for either Gowther or Gowther. Then you actually won't get to see this. This is what you see on your second run. I'm just gonna pick this star here, and then I also get to pick a passive. So I'm just gonna go with the Goddess Hero attack. This is just some of the passives that you can actually get throughout the runs. So as you can see, increasing crit chance is good, increasing crit damage is great, increases the specific like raises attack by a certain percentage is really nice. Here as you can see, I got 100% and I also got 75%. So when I'm actually running the deeper parts, I actually get to start with those 2 passives, and I'm just one-shotting every single boss. It's so damn good. But yeah, as you can see, this is what it looks like. You do have a couple of these like hero selection nodes or hero acquisition nodes. You do have some of these shops. In this shop you can actually buy a hero for 30 of these whatever labyrinth fragments. Here you can buy another hero for 30. So you can actually get up to 4 heroes, but you do need to run in a very specific path, because once you beat this first one here, you will of course get a passive, and you will also get 35 of these fragments here. Then what I would suggest you actually do is, for your very first run, go to the left to get this 10 levels, then go here to get a hero, then you move up here or here. Like, I don't think that really matters. Like I went here just to be able to maybe sometimes use my ults, and the ults will of course hit a little bit harder. This one just gives you 3 levels, which is kind of bad. Like levels isn't really a problem in this Underground Labyrinth, so I would suggest just going right, then you go left, and then you go into the shop. Now when you go left here, you will get another 5 of these fragments, and then in the shop you can buy a hero for 30. Then you beat this, that's another 10. Now you have 20, and then you of course beat 2 more, and that is your 30 for this shop right here. So you can buy 4 heroes, and that way like you will be able to sacrifice at least 1 unit and still have like 3 units up to be able to much more easier beat the boss that is here, which is Liz. We'll go over that in just a bit. The only problem though is if you get really bad heroes here in this hero acquisition node, as well as here in this labyrinth shop, these 2 nodes right here might actually be quite difficult difficult, because in this one you meet like the Weisel heroes, and then in this one you meet Ban, Jericho, and Gila, I believe. And they actually do hit quite hard, especially this first one can be a little bit tricky. It might bring you down way too low to where once you actually go into the second fight here, one of your units might die, which is a little bit unfortunate. At that point, like maybe going for like super awakening stars and stuff like that, rather than having a full set of like 3 heroes might be better. So maybe you go up here, you grab this hero, and then instead of going left after this ultimate enhancement node, you just go right, grab these super awakening stars, and then sort of make your way up here, grab this other super awakening star, and then grab another hero. So you have 3 heroes and like at least 4 star awakened. That could potentially be really, really nice as well. But for me, for my run, I just went for this one. I didn't have to reset all that much. There are some really nice heroes that you can get on the first floor, like Estarossa is really good for countering as well as like reducing the enemy's attack. He will of course also reduce your own attack. Another really, really good unit is Green Brunhild. If you have her, like you can quite easily kill the boss because she hits super, super hard, and the boss will get their alt gauge orbs to max, and Brunhild has a detonate card that deals more damage the more like alt gauge orbs the enemy has, as well as like a power strike card, so those are really nice. There are of course some other heroes, like you can just run this, see what you get, and then you get to the boss. So yeah, I'll just move through here till I get to the boss, and then we'll talk about it. Alright, so now we are at the first boss, and the first boss is sort of the blue Liz Hawk. Her skills are, she has a single target charge card, she has a card that on level 2 does something else, like it debuffs you somehow, I don't know exactly, can't really see it here. And she has an ult, single target ult of course, so she only attacks in a single target. Like her passives are all based around her getting more damage and like reducing the damage you deal. So this first passive here is gonna reduce the damage she takes from attack skills, and then she also has one which reduces all your attacks by 20%, so gonna take a little bit less damage there. She's also gonna increase her damage dealt to debuffed enemies, and that's sort of where the debuff card comes into play. And she increases her crit chance for every skill use, and of course recovers 50% of her max HP at the start of her turn, so you do need quite a lot of firepower. Now you can get your ultimates, but you do have to keep in mind that this boss, especially like on your first run, does sort of hit quite hard against certain units, and you cannot stun, petrify, freeze, or attack disable this unit, but you can debuff her in other ways. So on your first run, do note that it is sort of fine to like have at most 3 of your units die, because on the very next floor you will be able to revive one of your units, and then 2 or 3 nodes later you will be able to get like 2 new units, so you can like replace the ones that have already died with even better units, because on floor 2 you can of course get a lot of better units. Now the debuff that she does is she disables buff and debuff skills, but as you can see right here as I'm playing live, you don't really need to worry about anything like that, because on the second run here you just straight up one-shot him. It's very, very crazy, and Liz isn't even like the best unit you can have here. Mael is so much better, like Traitor Meliodas or Purgatory Meliodas is better. There are most definitely options for you like your second run, but for your first run it doesn't really matter if like many of your units die, so... Alright, so now we're on the second floor, and this is how it looks. As you can see, you have a lot of these nodes where you can select sort of heroes. On the second floor, as I've said, you can pick a lot of like better units, so you don't have to like worry about your initial units being bad or even being dead. Because here, as you can see, you can revive one of your units, and then you can sort of just go pick up 2 new units before you actually move on to sort of the fights. There aren't that many like fights, at most there are 4, and there are sort of these shops here and this shop here. If you don't get really good units in say these 2 nodes right here, you cannot get any units from this shop. This is the one where you need to get to actually be able to buy a unit, so do keep that in mind. You will only be able to get like an additional 5 of these thingies once you actually get here, so don't spend too much, because a new unit costs 30, and you actually want to get one of the best units that you can get on this floor. And the best units I would say are either A, Luda Margaret for her cleanse card, B, Red Tarmiel for his passive where he disables a unit if he is attacked twice, or C, Chandler because he also has a disabled card, and this is sort of gonna come into play against both like the Merlin boss right here, that's at the end of the second floor, or the Gowther boss that is on the end of the third floor. So those are sort of the units that you kind of want to try to get, as well as like of course some really good units. Say you get like really good demons, then maybe you want to go with a demon team. Say you get some really good like angel units, then you maybe want to go with an angel team. I myself, like on my run, of course I went with an angel team. That's sort of the team I built around here, and that's sort of the units I was able to get. So that is what you're gonna try to aim for on this floor. Now exactly how you go, like I would suggest sort of maybe staying at the edges here, but it does also sort of depend. I don't think this node right here is particularly good, but then again, like getting 2 Super Awakening stars right here and then 1 unit could potentially be really good, because then you can just buy whatever unit you get here and like still have a really solid team. But that depends on how many units actually died on the previous floor. Otherwise, like if you only have 1 unit, then just of course hug either this side or this side and sort of go for the 2 units you can get here, and then of course this shop right here. So if you go left, know that you cannot go diagonally and still hit the shop, because you will just barely miss it. So you will miss this unit here if you go to the left. Though if you happen to get like really good units here, you can of course get just another like passive completely free here, which is really nice. I do believe you can also buy like a passive skill here, but you cannot buy a unit on this floor, on this shopping cart. And then you just move your way across the board here, like the exact left or right doesn't really matter. Try to get some of the stars if at all possible. Like you do still have like these surprise ones that can be like anything. So maybe once you land on this spot right here, you just go left here, get this star as well, then move up, get the shop unit, and then move to the boss. Always moving left on these though could potentially be better, because most of the times your units won't actually die, so you don't really need this revive, but you might need the healing thing. Actually sticking to the left side could be good, and I think that's sort of the reason why they put the shop on the right side, to sort of force you to go here. But other than that, like this floor shouldn't be too difficult. I don't think there's anything that's really difficult here, and like the units you get here in the beginning are really nice. But again, try to stick with the Super Awakening stars rather than like the level up nodes, because you don't really need the levels, and you will sort of get really close to level 100 even without picking up too many of these levels, and by the end of the 3rd floor. Alright, so now we are on the second boss fight, and it is going to be against Green Merlin. Now maybe I should have said this before, but all of these boss fights, like no matter how much like CC you have, you can never go first. They will always go first. The first boss, the second boss, as well as the third boss, you will always go first. In the deeper parts, you can out CC the bosses, even the last one. But on the like floor 1, floor 2, and floor 3 bosses, you will of course be out CC'd every single time. So keep that in mind. Now this Merlin, she does have sort of this single target attack, and I do believe it debuffs you somehow. Then she also has a freeze card. She will always use the freeze card as like the final attack. That is why having Luda Margaret here is really nice, because she can cleanse it. And of course she has like the regular attack disable ultimate, which is whatever. Now what she does is she is of course immune to stun, petrify, freeze, and attack disable, but she can be debuffed in every other way, and she's going to fill her ult gauge orbs by 2. So having like Brunhild here, if you were able to get the green Brunhild, then of course that could potentially help you out here, because she deals more damage the more ult gauge orbs the enemy has. Now Merlin will also increase her age-related stats by 5% at the start of ally's turn if the hero takes damage. That is something you can keep in mind. Like maybe you don't want to damage her the first turn, maybe you sort of want to get like mergers, maybe you want to buff up first and then attack so that you can like one-shot her or whatever. Because she will get her HP-related stats, which increases her HP, and then also increases like the amount she heals every single turn. Also every time the boss attacks, she will increase her crit damage. She will also fill her ult gauge orb by 1 orb at the start of her own turn, so she's basically gonna ult rush herself constantly, and she's also gonna increase the damage she deals by 10% for every orb in her ult gauge orb. So if you have sort of a unit that can sort of remove ult gauge orbs, that could also be really nice. It's gonna remove her ult, that's gonna make her use 1 less card, and she will also deal a little bit less damage, though she doesn't deal too much damage, but 1 or 2 of your units might be able to die here on the very first run here, which like is totally fine, because you're gonna get some more units later down the line, as well as like being able to res them. So then the final passive here is for each orb filled in the hero's ultimate move gauge orb, when the hero increases rank of, uses, or moves a skill, increases all stats by 9% for 3 turns up to 5 times. If the hero has a 5 or more, ultimate move gauge orb recovers 30% of max HP. She will heal back quite a lot, so stalling out for 1 turn might be a good tactic. I'm pretty sure I don't do that in any of my runs, so like that's not really something you have to worry about, like at all. And of course, as you will see right here, because I'm gonna do it live as well, on your second run, just being able to kill the Merlin in like 1 turn shouldn't be too difficult. She has some of her like all stat increased here. She does freeze 1 of your units. Actually 2 of my units. That is a first actually. Alright, interesting. I don't think I can really do anything with this unit right here. I'm not actually gonna attack her, and I'll waste this card. Alright, so attacking her, being able to kill her is totally fine. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like a 1-turn fight anyway, but her freezing 2 of my units is actually surprising. I don't think that's ever happened before, but it is whatever. So we're just gonna kill her here. Just attack. And she should die, but do know that she will like keep freezing 1 of your units, so having like a cleanser like Luda Margaret is super helpful. Having like a unit that can remove ultimates is also going to be super helpful, because she doesn't really deal that much damage. Of course, she's going to deal a little bit more damage if your units are blue, but like she doesn't deal too much damage with like a regular attack, and she just freezes one unit, which is annoying. But having like alt gauge removers could potentially be helpful, so like do keep in mind, or do keep your eyes out for those. Alright, so now we're on the final floor here, and this is where you can get like the really good units, and I do believe that you cannot get any units from this shopping cart here, but you can get the one from the left hand side, so like do try to stay either in the middle or towards the left. Here you can also get a good unit, so this is where like you can get your Maels, you can get your Purgatory Meliodases, those really strong units, and just keep moving through the board. Like you don't really have to worry about how many like fragments you have. Of course you can use these fragments in the deeper parts, but like rolling and starting from the deeper parts, you will of course start with 0 of these, so it's not really needed anyway. But even if you sort of miss out on, say you're building a goddess team and you're missing out on Mael, you can get him in the deeper parts, so when you're actually farming it out, it shouldn't be a problem anyway. Just try to get the good passives. Of course you can probably buy a passive right here, or depending on like how many Super Awakening Stars, it might be better to go for like more Super Awakening Stars, especially in like your first run or whatever. You don't go here or here, and then of course you're like stuck to the sides because you cannot move towards the center to get this Super Awakening Star, to get this Super Awakening Star. Those are sort of like the decisions you will have to make on the third floor as you're moving through it. There are of course also these surprises that can be like anything, so you have one here, you have one here, and you just move up here. Alright, so now we are on the final fight, which is against Red Gowther here. Now he is the boss on the final fight, and literally every single turn he is going to attack seal you. He's gonna rank up his own cards, get his ultimate quite easily. That might not matter. We did manage to snag a copy of Luda Margaret. We do have Tarmiel here, we do have Nanashi here. This is very overkill for this particular run. Though, I have to say, your team can look like this at the end of the very first run. My team was very similar to this run as like the first run. I can't remember exactly what units I had. I think I had Luda Margaret, and I think I might have had a Sariel, or maybe the Sariel and the Tarmiel combo was for the second run that I did. I'm pretty sure I didn't have Nanashi in the back. But all of these 3 units are just gonna make Gowther a complete joke. So if you can get any of them or a combination of them, that's gonna help you out really well. And Lays, of course, or you can go Ludociel. I did manage to also snag another like one of these goddess attacks here. But yeah, anyway, so for this particular Gowther, he is gonna rank up his own cards, and he will attack seal you every turn. Now, this isn't the biggest issue, even if you don't have any of those units. So turn 1 is gonna attack seal you. Just move your cards as best as you can. Use whatever cards you can use, like get more cards that you can then merge. The second turn, he's gonna take 3 of your alt gauge orbs. So at this point you can sort of try to get 5 alt gauge orbs with one unit. Then the next turn he will attack seal you, but by that turn you do have enough time to get one of your ultimates, and then you will be able to ult him. As you can see, the unique here, the first one is that Gowther revives at 50% HP. So even if you do happen to kill him with an ultimate, so you have really strong single target ultimate or whatever, and you do have like some levels on your ultimates so that it will hit hard, you will deal less damage with this ultimate. This on decreased damage taken from ultimate moves by 30%, but that shouldn't still be a problem. I do believe like my Mael at a 2/6 was able to like one-shot the Gowther with like 500k damage. Super good. Like it all depends on like your passives. If you have like crit damage, crit chance increase passive, and you have like these attack increase passives, of course that's gonna help you out really well there as well. Now some of the other things that this Gowther does is it's of course gonna increase the rank of all his skills when it does take crit damage. This means that he's gonna get gold rank up cards, and of course at gold rank up cards he's gonna increase his basic stats as well as like rank up his cards. So that is something you can like keep in mind, that you will sort of buff him up if you do sort of start attacking him. Though killing him does cleanse all the cards, so killing him once and then having him revive will cleanse literally every single buff he gets. Now it's also going to increase his attack at the end of the turn by 15%, and it's going to stack up to 5 times. Now this can be a little bit scary, though Gowther doesn't really do that much damage except for 2 like green units. But you can get some other like passives which reduces his attack by say 7% for every unit you have on the field. That's 21% reduced attack right there. You can get some like increases Goddess Allies defense by 50% or something like that, and then have your Goddess Allies be able to tank. Like you have Nanashi in the back, it's gonna increase your defense even more. There are ways to like work around that as well, like the damage increase he has. Of course, takes less damage from ultimates, increases his crit damage by 20% each time the hero uses a skill. Now this is gonna stack up like crazy, so he's gonna start doing more damage later down the line, but still I don't think it should be a problem. And of course fills the hero's ultimate move gauge for 1 orb each time the hero hero uses a skill or rank up. So we'll just go into this fight. Like, you should have already seen some footage of me doing this like on my very first run, just to see sort of how I was attack sealed, but here you will actually see it live with this team right here. As you can see, he attack seals me. I do have 2 cleanse cards, and he also disabled himself. He didn't remove his ultimate the first turn because my Nanashi buffs weren't active, but we're just gonna do this. I will just attack him here and attack like that. I still have another one of these cleanse cards that I can use next turn. Him actually ulting me turn 1 isn't really gonna do anything, except for now I guess, but as you can see, on your second run, if you get like a really good team, that's gonna be no problem at all. You can sort of get mostly this team on your first run as well. I do believe on my first run I was able to get like the 100% increase to attack to like goddess units, and it sort of made it just a little bit easier. I was able to cleanse then as well, I do believe, but in previous runs on my JP account, for example, I did not have any like cleansers, I did not have anything, but I was still able to beat it quite easily. I think I'm actually gonna save this party. Sort of is a little bit better. This was my other one. Like, this is the melee I was talking about at the beginning of the video that increases your basic stats by 20%. He's a really good backline unit. Or you can go with sort of Nanashi or like Death Pierce or Purgatory Ban. Can also drop from like the first floor. So you can most definitely like set up a sub-slot unit on the very first floor. But I'm actually gonna save this party right here. I do have like still, well, the very good one, the 100% to increase the attack. So you just save the party and then you can go on from there. But yeah, after that, after your very first run, I would suggest just resetting. You're gonna start with a little bit more like Super Awakening Stars and all that. Just run this again. You're gonna be able to pick like your best hero. For me here, that is gonna be Liz. You can of course pick Luda Margaret if you're like, oh my god, I really need that cleanse and I never get Luda Margaret or whatever. You can pick her. That's totally fine as well. You can pick Liz later. You can get like Mael later or whatever, and just build your team from there. You will be able to pick a passive. You'll also get like 2 stars, 10 levels or 1 level to your ultimates, which of course I wouldn't pick any of the other 2, but like get the stars. That's gonna help you out really nicely. So when it comes to your second run, when you have picked like your best hero, for me that happens to be Goddess Liz. For you it might be Mael, it might be Traitor Meliodas, Purgatory Meliodas, who have you, and you picked like your passive. For me, the passive I have is increases Goddess allies attack by 100%. You can most definitely find these for like demons, giants, fairies, humans, etc. Either 100%, 75%, what have you. Those are gonna help you out tremendously. But first, you want to pick either of these 2, it doesn't really matter, as like your first node, and then pick whatever passive works best for you. Then after that, you go here, pick the Super Awakening Stars, you pick the other Super Awakening Stars, then you just go here up until the shop, and you see if you get sort of a good unit. A good unit would be perhaps a backline unit like the blue backline Meliodas that gives you 20% basic stats if you have 2 or less cards. Nanashi could be another good option as well. Death Pierce could be another good option as well. But sort of any other unit that is really good that I've already talked about, such as Green Brunhild, for example. If you don't find that unit here, just move on in diagonally like this. You just move past all of this. You take this star here, which I believe is like a 1 star for you, and then you pick the unit here, and then you also buy like 2-star awakening thingy. I think you should be able to afford that, and then you sort of go face the boss, so that you have at least 2 units that you can attack 3 times against the boss. And yeah, that's gonna be for the second run on the first floor. So on your second run here, of course, like the same thing applies as the first run. Yeah, on the second run, of course, you have like 2 units. So going for this unit right here and then the shop unit could potentially work. Like, you can get the Super Awakening Stars that you need. As you can see, I already have like almost maxed out Super Awakening Stars. I don't really need to go for that myself. So like going for these just to try to get like the really good units, the Luda Margaret, the Chandler, the Red Tarmiel, like to increase your chance of actually getting them. Then you can get like this passive right here, and then of course the passive from the shopping cart here. Then maybe you can get like another chance at getting a really good unit here, or you can go for this passive right here to sort of get some really good passives. And of course, like the really good passives are ones that increase your attack in some way, shape or form. You don't really need any sort of defensive abilities on the second floor or the second run, especially considering like once you get to the deeper parts with this team, having like the really good like attack damaging passives will of course help you just one-shot every single boss, even the ones that revive, even the last boss. Yeah, you will be able to quite easily one-shot them, especially if you get Mael and you have like this passive that increases your attack with Goddess Allies. So you have the other one that I got that increases your attack with Goddess Allies by another 75%. Mael single target just one-shots the boss. He will revive with like 50% HP and then just kill him. super easy. Floor 2 on the second run isn't really a problem, and you should sort of already have familiarized yourself with this run. So as for floor 3 on your second run, of course you should have like really good units like I have here. I did manage to snag a Tarmiel. I do have Nanashi in the back who is gonna help me, especially against the Gowther here, to like remove his ult gauge orbs when he does attack us, because his only attack is an AoE attack, as well as the ultimate of course, but he does the AoE attacks before the ultimate, or before he's even able to get the ultimate. So there is that will most definitely help you there if you do get him. You will of course be able to disable Gowther if he attacks you twice rather than say rank up twice, and of course you should have like really strong attack units here as well. You can of course still go for like Luda Margaret, that's gonna help you out if you don't happen to get Mael. If you're going for an Angel team, Mael of course is gonna be better. Same with like Purgatory Meliodas is gonna be better. I don't think you can get the one ultimate, but you can most definitely get like the regular the one if you happen to go for like a human team. I'm not sure about giant teams, for example. I do know that you can get Diane on floor 2, and you can probably get her on floor 3 as well as like the deeper parts later down the line if you want to go for that. If you're gonna want to go for like a mix of units, like that should totally be fine as well. But like once again, move through the board the best you can. Try to get to level 100. So as you can see here, I am missing like one Super Awakening Storm, but I'm missing quite a few levels. I will get a bunch of levels going through here. I'll probably like get the levels here, maybe even like buy the levels in the shop, and also like buy a passive or whatever that's gonna help me out. Like the passives I have are not the greatest, like it increases your hero's attack by 50% when ultimate wound gauge is maxed. That is fine. 10% per female ally on the team, that's really nice as well. Reducing enemies crit resistance and crit defense, or like reducing the enemy's attack, could potentially be really good for like a first run, but like crit defense is really good for like a second run to try to get like reduce the enemy stats so that you can deal more damage to them, that type of thing. And once you've done your second run, you will of course go into like the labyrinth depths, or like the deeper part of the underground labyrinth, and this is how that looks. So you will be able to revive one of your units if it died. You can also like heal yourself up before you go into it, and like every 3 mobs that you kill, you will get a shop, and in these shops you can actually get the Mael. So you can get Mael here, you can get Mael there, you can get Meliodas, you can get the one ultimate, or the one Escanor, I mean, like the blue one, not the one ultimate. I don't think I've ever seen him here. I'm pretty sure like I've heard like other YouTubers also say like they haven't seen him, so I don't know, I don't think he's here. But yeah, then you just move through this floor. I do believe the second mob actually revives. The first mob is very tanky, and the last mob also revives. The other ones aren't really a problem if you have a really good team. You can just one-shot every single floor. That should be no problem at all. And once you pick Mael, he will like with his single target attack and this team setup and these passives and all that, he will just one-shot with one single attack. Like his single target attack, that one-shots, super easy. Like this labyrinth isn't really a problem. And once you've done that, and I think once you've done this 3 or 4 times, you will have enough like these special cubes that you get from the deeper parts to be able to clear out the shop and get the cosmetic as well as the 10 gems. And then if you want to like keep going, keep running it, you can get these boxes which contain some, I think it's like a random chance what it contains, but it can contain some SSR pendants and stuff like that. So it can be really nice. It can also be like a complete shaft. It is RNG of course, but yeah, anyway, that's the Underground Labyrinth guide. Hope you found it helpful. Of course, if you want some more like general tips and tricks, do check out some of my other Underground Labyrinth videos. They should be in a playlist labeled Underground Labyrinth, where I go over like sort of depending on like what units you pick, you should sort of pick passives that fit those units. Depending on, so if you get like a really good passive in the beginning, you should sort of pick units that is going to work with that passive moving forward in the Underground Labyrinth as well. Those are like general tips and tricks. Of course, like you're gonna have to be like flexible as you're moving through it. And of course, if you don't have like super many units, I do believe you need some of the units to be able to pull them. And though even if you have like a really bad new account without too many of like the really good units, say you don't have Mael, I think you can still clear it far enough. And even if you can only clear it until like the deeper parts, you can just reset the labyrinth. You can just start from this part right here. You go in, and even if you can only kill like the first 3 mobs or whatever, like the first mob, most of your units die, whatever, you can still farm it out. Like it's gonna take you some time, but you get the cubes from this mob here that you need for the shop anyway. So if you just do that reset, it is gonna cost you a bunch of stamina doing it that way. Say you have like really bad units and you can barely kill him or whatever, you can still farm it out. But if you can clear it all the way through, if you do a second run, that is gonna help you even more. So yeah, I mean, I think that's about it. So tell me what you think. What teams did you use? Did you use the Angel team? Did you use the Demon team? Whatever. If you found this guide helpful, do leave a like, all that good stuff. Subscribe if you haven't already for more guides and more Grand Cross videos. I think the next video I'll make is actually using Mael's new costume in PvP. So yeah, do look forward to that. But with that, I think that's gonna be it for me. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And yeah, I guess I catch you in the next one. Bye.